Part 7. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 62. Chapter 62, Wine Sold. Let's not talk about this for now. You also drank wine. You are not a bad guy. 10 yuan a caddy, Grandma, he said hurriedly. Uncle, she felt embarrassed at this time. This wine is good, but 10 yuan a caddy is really not cheap. From the tone of this big girl, I'm afraid there is a lot of wine at home. This. Looking at Uncle Shi, who looked embarrassed, Boss Yu became anxious. Madam, look, does this wine cost 5 yuan? 10 yuan is really expensive. Grandma, he also lost her temper. Huh, I won't sell it. I tell you, the price of this wine has increased now, it's 10 yuan, and I won't sell it for a penny less. Mixu is really confused now. Has her grandma experienced such harm? This. Mei Shui stepped forward and pulled her grandma's clothes, but she was brushed away by her grandmother, who usually loved her. Xiaoxiu, don't try to persuade her. I only sold it for 5 yuan. How can this old man not believe you? Huh, just 10 piece. Seeing that the old lady had a weakness, Boss Zhao was a smart person and said, little girl, look at this, Uncle Shi didn't do it on purpose. The main reason is that he has never seen a good product. You can help Uncle persuade your grandma. That's right, it's the uncle's fault. The uncle is wrong. Little girl, your craftsmanship is good, the wine is good, you are a capable person, you are really good. Uncle Shi, who was at a loss for words, didn't know how to praise. He is a rough guy, he really can't imitate that scholar, he speaks in a straight line. The first time she was praised by an outsider, Mei Shui blushed in a rare moment. Grandma, forget it, they didn't mean it. Besides, she never thought about selling this wine for 5 yuan a caddy. You know, in this day and age, the purchasing power of 5 yuan is very strong. Yes, and, we didn't do it on purpose. Boss Zhao immediately borrowed the donkey from the slope, and, it's because we have blind eyes and don't recognize Mount Tai. We mistakenly mistake the pearls for fish eyes. It's our fault. Look at this wine, and Grandma, he was actually more scared than anyone else, but she couldn't fall off the bottom. If she did, the wine would be looked down upon by others. When she asked for 5 yuan, her heart was in a state of panic, fearing that she would be thrown out. 5 yuan could buy several kilograms of meat. Only if you are stupid would you use it to buy wine. After looking at this, and then at Xiaoxiu, when Xiaoxiu nodded, Grandma, he breathed a sigh of relief. Okay, for the sake of my Xiaoxiu, this wine is only 5 yuan for you, but I have 3 flavors, so I won't cheat you, I will bid after trying. Okay, listen to Auntie, the food is here, eat first. Boss Zhao relaxed and said with gratitude. Today's meal is mine. Eat and drink well, madam. If you want to eat anything else, I'll ask the chef to cook it for you. It is necessary to please. How much can I sell in my store? The main reason is to collect some good goods for my son's store. Yes, Boss Zhao opened a shop here mainly because he had to support his parents at home, but his son is older and the current national policies are in place, so he follows the pace of the country. Go to the city to open a restaurant early. The business is good, but there are no hard goods that can be sold. It is not much different from ordinary restaurants. If it were not for the decoration, I am afraid that it would be a huge loss now. Sure, you can have some. Uncle Shi was as quiet as a rabbit, drinking wine from the bowl bit by bit and not quarreling with the older girl anymore. Afraid that I won't be able to drink such good wine in the future. Grandma, drink some soup first to moisten your mouth. Mei Shui immediately put the soup bowl in front of her grandma. Xiaoxiu, are you full? If not, eat more. Xiaoxiu felt sorry for her, and she felt even more sorry for Xiaoxiu. Well, I'll eat with grandma later. That order was really not enough. Seeing the eldest sister starting to eat, Uncle Shi spoke in a hurry, "Eldest sister, the other two kinds of wine." With that flattering smile on his face. Grandma he glanced at Xiaoxiu, and Mei Shui happily took out the other two bottles from her bag. "Here you are, as cold as you want." After waiting for the dishes to be served, Boss Zhao also sat over and began to taste the three kinds of wine. After a while, the wine was drunk by the two of them. Except for Mei Sui Dong, which is a bit bigger, the other two kinds of wine are not that big and are more suitable for women to drink. After having enough wine and food, the conditions were agreed upon. Boss Zhao went to the village to pick up the wine himself, and Mei Shui also gave in a little on the price. Her brew costs 4.5 yuan per caddy, which is Grandma He's bottom line. From 10 yuan to 5 yuan, she doesn't know how much she has lost. Now that there are less, how can she be willing to do it? The wines from Anliang and Anwen are much cheaper. Anliang's wine costs 3 yuan, and Anwen's wine costs 2 yuan. It may be Anwen's first time, and he has too much wine, so he didn't get it right at once, so the taste is better than Anwen's. Liang's difference is a little bit different. They are all old drinkers, and they come out as soon as they taste it. This price is much higher than in the town. The best wine in the town only costs 3 yuan a pound. Now it seems that it is a good thing to come to the county town. Of course, Mei Shui also said that she would negotiate the price of the wine in the future, because she could not guarantee that the wine produced would taste the same every time. Everyone knows at this point that the quality of craftsmanship is connected with luck. No matter how good the craftsmanship is, if the luck is poor, the vat of wine may go bad. So the price this time is high, and they all agree that if the price of next year or the next batch of wine is lower, this method cannot be better. It also made Uncle Shi and Zhao Aijun have a better impression of the two of them. The wine matter was finally settled. Boss Zhao did not go back with Mei Shui and others that day, but he said he would make arrangements and go back tomorrow. It was a rare occasion for her to come to the city. Meixiu did some calculations and found that she had made a lot of money. In addition to the good things she had seen twice today, she was very itchy. When she proposed it to her grandma he immediately objected. "Xiaoxiu, it's not that grandma doesn't let you buy it, it's just that we can't take it home with us. If you like it, wait for Junqi to come back next time, and you can buy it together." Afraid that Xiaoxiu would think too much, Grandma he looked at her with a worried look. "Don't worry, Grandma will find a way to buy you whatever you like." Meixiu was speechless. Why couldn't she take it back? "Xiaoxiu, please stop talking. This can't happen. This is a rare occasion. Grandma will take you to a big shopping mall, which we don't have in our town. This shopping mall is only found in the city. I heard that everything is for sale there, and there is nothing you can't buy except what you can't think of." Meixiu shook her head. She was not interested in anything except food. She also thought about her grandma, so she wanted to buy this big fan. "Grandma, I have nothing to buy. Let's go back. We've been out for so long, and I don't know if the chicken is behaving or if it's eaten." She was worried about the chickens raised at home and the vegetables in the field. "Okay, let's go home." When they arrived at the station, they waited for the bus to the county town. After getting on the bus and buying tickets, the two of them rushed home. With more votes, it will be released later. Asking for recommendation votes, asking for collections, asking for rewards, and asking for investment. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 63. Chapter 63, Happy. I didn't see my grandson today, but I sold the wine, which made Grandma he very happy. "Uncle Shi, how do you feel?" After sending the person away, Boss Zhao sat down in front of Uncle Shi and asked seriously. The two families are as close as one family. Mr. Shi also knows what Zhao Aijun thinks. He has lived in the Zhao family for a year or two and knows their family's situation very well. If we send it to Xiang, this kind of wine is good enough. The other two are a bit inferior, but they are much stronger than those plum wines outside. It's a pity that we can't keep the quantity. Uncle Shi seemed to be a different person, with a different aura about him. It's completely different from the previous quarrel with Grandma He. Yeah, it's a pity. It would be great if the quantity could be kept. This is a good thing. 4.5 yuan per pound is not expensive. There are many rich people in Mingcheng. You'd better go there by yourself tomorrow, if you like the little girl. Uncle Shi's words should not be too obvious. I think so too, Uncle Shi. Would you like to go out for a walk together? He knew that Uncle Shi just wanted to relax when he came out of Kyoto. I have lived here for 2 years, but I have never seen him leave Chenxin County. This time it was just right to take Uncle Shi out for a walk. Well, you can have this, but I have to prepare some gifts for the big girl, otherwise I may not be able to get in. Because of him, the price went from 10 yuan to 4.5 yuan, and the big girl now hates him. Seeing Uncle Shi become like this, Zhao Aijun rolled his eyes and said, "Okay, I'll ask Wen Yu to get ready later. Buy more meat. I think that girl likes meat," Uncle Shi said again. After seeing Uncle Shi off, Zhao Aijun also went to prepare for going to Hejiakan tomorrow. Having said that, Uncle Shi also went to prepare some gifts for his eldest sister to apologize. Did he know that the eldest sister looked down upon him because of the price of the wine? After returning home, Mei Shui and Grandma He immediately called An Wen and An Liang over. Fortunately, the two of them knew that the third grandma and her sister-in-law were going to the county town today. They had been waiting for news at home and did not dare to leave home. As soon as they heard the call, they rushed over immediately. "Third grandma, sister-in-law, you are back." And Liang's eyes were filled with light. "Third grandma, sister-in-law," and Wen called after him. Mei Shui was a little tired, so she poured a glass of water for herself and a glass for her grandma. When she saw the two of them, Mei Shui nodded. "You came just in time." Grandma He was in a very good mood. The displeasure she showed in front of Boss Zhao and the others was for others to see. At that time, I was very excited, but I couldn't explain it to outsiders. "Xiaoxiu has sold all your wine for you, and the price is very good." Grandma He smiled at the two of them with a proud look on her face. "Really?" And Liang jumped up excitedly. "Third grandma, sister-in-law, you are really in trouble." Well, third grandma, you and your sister-in-law have worked hard." And Wen's eyes turned red after hearing this. "Thank you, third grandma, thank you, sister-in-law." Seeing An Wen like this, Mei Shui sighed. "An Wen, don't be like this. If you want to go this way, just go to the mountains and look for any plums. If there are any, go pick some. It doesn't matter if the fermentation time is longer. If it matures quickly, the price may be higher. And Liang, the same goes for you. If you want to earn more, you and your brother An Wen can go picking together. It would also be good to make some late plum wine." And Liang and An Wen were very happy. They were really touched to see their sister-in-law thinking about themselves so much. "Sister-in-law, let's go and make wine." The two of them nodded seriously. "Well, let's stop cutting wood for the next 2 days. You two don't go out tomorrow afternoon. Maybe Boss Zhao will come." Mei Shui could imagine that Boss Zhao would come in person. She believed that her wine would enable him to make the trip. Coming tomorrow, the two of them were shocked. "Otherwise, you have to hold your ground for me tomorrow, or I'll whip you." Then before Mei Shui could say anything, Grandma He immediately jumped up and shouted, "Don't be discouraged when my boss comes. Our wine is good, so be brave." Grandma He warned her again and again. Mei Shui didn't know that Grandma was afraid of losing her confidence and being laughed at by Uncle Shi. However, Grandma's little temper is really lovable. "The prices of your wines are a bit different, but the difference is not big. And when you make wine, try to seal it longer, so that the wine will taste more mellow." Mei Shui also gave An Wen some pointers. As for An Liang, it might be that he was born to eat this bowl of rice. And Wen, who received the advice, looked grateful. Well, I've written it down, sister-in-law, let's go back. First he had to go back and tell his parents the good news. He brewed a lot of wine this time, and it was a huge income that could keep the whole family happy for a long time. And Liang couldn't wait to go back and share the good news. Go. After sending the two of them away, Mei Shui and Grandma He began to clean up the things they bought, all of which could be used now. Grandma, I went to the field to have a look. I don't know if the vegetables have grown taller. Mei Shui saw that the house was tidied up, but she was worried about the vegetable field and wanted to take a look. Go and come back early. Don't water the water. It's getting late. Come back later for dinner. Well, I understand, Grandma. Putting the basket on her back, Mei Shui walked out of the back door. After An Wen and An Liang returned home, they jumped up with excitement, but in order to show off, they endured it. Mom, where is my dad? An Wen looked for his dad as soon as he came back, wanting to tell his dad the good news as soon as possible. Aunt Zillian was arranging the vegetables to be fried in the evening. When she saw her son coming back, she immediately laughed and said, "What, your third grandma has brought you good news?" She had been looking forward to it. Yeah, An Wen nodded excitedly. Mom, my sister-in-law and my third grandma sold all of our family's 100 kilograms of wine. Don't blame him for not being excited. Really, Aunt Zillian was so surprised that the vegetables in her hands fell to the ground. So many, all sold, she looked in disbelief. Well, we sold it for 2 yuan a caddy. Mom, our family now has money to buy medicine for Dad, and we don't have to ask my sister to get money back. When he said this, An Wen's eyes couldn't help but shed tears. Sister's life is not easy either. Okay, 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 just sell it, just sell it. Not only An Wen shed tears of excitement, but she also said, An Wen, you have to remember your third grandma and their love in the future. This has saved our family's life. An Wen didn't know why, so he nodded heavily. Mom, don't worry, I will be filial to my third grandma and my sister-in-law. Mom, I forgot to update the code, I'm sorry. Asking for recommendation votes and rewards. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 64. Chapter 64, Boss Zhao is here, please vote for recommendation. Okay, An Wen, go find your dad and tell him the good news, so that your dad will be happy too. So much money. Where is my dad? I didn't see him at home. Your father has gone to the back mountain. Go up and have a look and ask him to come back soon. There were vegetables growing on the mountain, so he went up to look at the vegetable field. Okay, I'll go right away. Compared with the excitement and rebirth of the An Wen family, An Liang is much happier here. Mom, from now on, you can serve me and my dad well at home, and I will take care of this family from now on. What he said really deserves a beating. Aunt Mei Lian also followed An Liang's wishes and stepped forward and slapped him on the back. You brat, what are you talking about? Why did your third grandma ask you to go? There's nothing I can do about it. This son is very arrogant when he's not serious. Mom, why are you hitting me? You have to know that I am the hero of our family now, and you have to tolerate me, An Liang said with an unhappy look on his face. He Jinkei walked out of the house. When he saw his son being whipped, he looked gloating. I'm still spoiling you. You haven't been beaten for 3 days. How can you go to the house and undo the tiles? Seeing that his parents didn't believe in him, An Liang snorted, let me tell you, the third grandmother and sister-in-law sold all my wine, and they said that my wine was good, and the price was $1 higher than brother An Wen's. With that little appearance, he looks like a really arrogant little kid. Really, Aunt Mei Lian was happy. There wasn't much wine, but it was quite a lot. It was several dozen kilograms. This was going to be sold. Hey, the brat was waiting here. Haha, no wonder he brags about it as soon as he comes back. He wants to support his family. Okay, I have no objection. Genke was also very happy. He found a stool and sat down. Tell me, how much does it cost per pound? He didn't have high hopes. The best wine in town only cost 3 yuan. He didn't have high hopes for his son's ability. Hope. As long as it can be sold. 3 yuan a pound, Dad, how much do you think this costs? And Liang was still young and didn't really have much money. Hearing 3 yuan shocked the two of them. What? 3 yuan, are you sure it's not 3 cents? Aunt Mei Lian looked in disbelief. Mom, how can you doubt me? If you don't believe me, ask third grandma. My sister-in-law said that it was third grandma who negotiated the price this time. You still don't believe third grandma? You know, how much his mother admires the third grandma, but dares to doubt the third grandma. She really doesn't want to live a good life. What your third grandma said is definitely not true. Brat, you should be nicer to your third grandma in the future and don't be that white-eyed wolf. When Aunt Mei Lian heard that it was the third aunt, she immediately stopped doubting her. By the way, last time your third grandma said she wanted to eat bacon. Go to the kitchen and get a piece of fat and give it to your third grandma. After saying this, Aunt Lian began to dislike her son. Forget it, you are clumsy and can't tell the difference. I'll take it for you, and you can give it to your third grandma and Xiaoxiu. After speaking, he turned around and entered the kitchen. He Genke thought about the taste of the wine brewed by En Liang. It was really good. En Liang, don't sell it all. Keep some for your father and me. Of course, I'll leave you more than a pound to moisten your mouth. En Liang's mouth started to sneeze again. After a good night's sleep, Mei Shui and Grandma He didn't wait at home the next day. First, they went to the fields for a walk and found that everyone had begun to harvest rice, but their rice hadn't turned yellow yet, and some were waiting. It will be about the same in another 10 days. There was nothing to deal with in the fields, let alone water. After finishing the work, Mei Shui and Grandma He went back home. Mei Shui was a person who couldn't sit still. She turned around and went to the vegetable field, planning to get some earthworms for the chickens to eat. Grandma said that they were eaten by fat chickens. Grandma He was at home cleaning the bacon that En Liang sent yesterday and steaming it for Xiaoxiu to eat at noon. In the vegetable field, the vegetables grown earlier were almost eaten, and Mei Shui also started to clean them up. There are some vegetable seeds behind the house. They need to be planted early. In a few months, the vegetables in the ground will be edible again. At noon, when Mei Shui went home, she stood on the mountain and saw a group of people coming on the road by the creek, and they were driving cars, yes, cars and trucks. Thinking of what happened yesterday, she knew that it was Boss Zhao and the others who were here. Without wasting any time, Mei Shui hurried down the mountain and went home. Grandma, Boss Zhao and the others seem to be here. There are several jars of wine in the yard of my house, and the smell of wine slowly overflows. As soon as I get close, there is a smell of wine in my nose. Let me have a look. After hearing this, Grandma He hurriedly walked out of the kitchen. Looking down the mountain, it's really them. How did they come here in a car? The people in the village had seen the car, but there were no cars in their own village. When they saw the car coming, adults and children all gathered around it. Boss Zhao inquired all the way to the end of the village. After being surrounded by people, he immediately asked, "Where is Aunt He's home?" Outside the house, Boss Zhao's attitude is so weird. When the residents by the stream heard that they were here to congratulate their aunt, they all hurriedly asked, "Is it because Ans has become successful and asked you to pick up his grandma and go to the city to enjoy her life?" Some envious people immediately asked. Boss Zhao really didn't know about this, so he shook his head. "No, we are here to buy drinks with Aunt He." "Where is her home?" As soon as they heard about buying wine, Everyone immediately realized, yes, they had heard that Mei Swekwan made wine before, but none of them believed it. A little girl who knows how to make wine and play it. But now, all the bosses have come to visit me, and there is no excuse. They all immediately became jealous. The boss is here to collect the wine made by that girl Xiaoxiu. Can I drink the wine? Just a little girl, how old is she? She can make wine. Boss, don't be fooled. Some people who didn't deal with the third grandma immediately started to criticize her. Some people who had a good relationship with the third grandma stopped immediately. Chunyua, your mouth is too bad. Have you seen Xiaoxiu's ability? You haven't seen it? How do you know Xiaoxiu can't brew? That's right, the beef jerky Xiaoxiu made last time was very delicious, so she gave me some. Yes, Xiaoxiu is a capable person. She can definitely do it if she says she can. Boss, the third aunt's house is on the top of the mountain. You see, a niece-in-law of the family immediately stood up and defended. The house on the far side is my third aunt's house. You can go up from here. It's not far. The people who defended the third aunt quickly invited the boss to the third aunt's house first, and then asked these people who spit to continue talking, so as not to ruin the business of the third aunt's house. Who is Boss Zhao? He is the best among people. Fellows, we have tasted Auntie's wine. It tastes better than what is sold in the store, otherwise, why would we come so far to buy it? After saying that, he took the person he found and walked up the mountain. There was a person left in the car to watch the car. Don't let someone deflate the tires at that time, it will not be beautiful. It's so hot today. The village girl went to pick peppers today. She can make thousands of peppers. It smells so good just thinking about it. It makes my mouth water. End of this chapter. 80s, the farmer's wife is the boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 65. Chapter 65, What do you want to do? At first a group of people wanted to follow, but they were afraid of Auntie's mouth, so they all stopped and started talking about Mei Shui. Are these important? No, these are not important. Uncle Shi looked at the villagers with an angry look on his face. He also came from the countryside and knew that everyone in a village could not be harmonious. It can be seen that he still feels very sad seeing these people. They are all a shady group. There are no 2 or 2, and red-eye disease is not mild. The road up the mountain was not far, and soon we arrived at Mei Shui's courtyard. As soon as you get close, the aroma of wine comes out. Uncle Shi's eyes sparkled and he ran into the yard ahead of everyone else. When he saw the 5 large vats in the courtyard, he was so excited that he wanted to go forward, but unfortunately, he was stopped by someone. Hey, who is this? Why, do you want to steal some wine, Grandma? He knew they were coming, so she had been waiting in the courtyard for a long time. But this man seemed not to see himself and ran directly towards the wine vat. And as soon as Boss Zhao entered the yard, he immediately called for someone. The people who led the way also saw the large wine vat in the courtyard, and did not expect that they had brewed so much wine. Grandma, he sent away the people in the village first, and then closed the courtyard door. You're here, did you rush to my house for lunch on purpose? Grandma, he thought of the 5 yuan and 50 cents as soon as she saw the person. It makes me unhappy no matter what I think. It cost Auntie a lot of money, Boss Zhao said with a flattering look on his face, mainly because he liked the wine and it didn't matter if he felt aggrieved. Xiao Li, quickly bring over the gift I bought for my aunt. Haha, I carefully selected this for my aunt and Xiaoxiu. He waved to one of his clerks. Uncle Shi, quick, there's still mine. I bought the meeting gift for the eldest sister, hurry up and get it. Mei Shui is cooking in the kitchen. With so many people coming all of a sudden, she has to give them food. She didn't want to part with meat dishes, so she fried some vegetables and eggs, which just took a while to cook. She started the 2 pots at the same time and had no time to pay attention to the people outside. After seeing 3 or 4 large and small bags, Grandma he put away the meanness on her face and said, "Hey, just come. What gifts are you bringing? My family doesn't have any gifts in return." After saying that, he quickly took it with his hands and feet. I took a quick look at the contents inside. Well, it was pretty good. There were cans, some pastries, and meat. I also saw a few packets of fruit candies. These things are all precious and must be collected. You can find a place to sit by yourself. You'll have lunch for a while. I'll go in and help Zioxu. You guys treat her like your own family. There are 2 different things before and after receiving the gift. You are busy, you are busy. So Boss Zhao asked the 4 people who came up to rest on the stools under the sweet-scented osmanthus tree, while he and Uncle Shi began to smell the wine. "Uncle Shi, this wine is good, and the price is really worth it." After smelling it, Boss Zhao was very happy. Uncle Shi also looked happy. "I'm telling you, you get half of this vat of wine from me." Uncle Shi is a knowledgeable person, and he was referring to the vat of wine made by Mei Shui. This can't be done. Who is Boss Zhao? How well he knows his Uncle Shi. "I'll leave some for you to taste, and it'll taste good if you take half of it." What will happen to Xiang's store, who doesn't like good things? "Heh, I only want half of this vat. Isn't there another vat here? If you don't like it, just let that girl Zioxia brew 2 more vats." Whatever Uncle Shi is willing to do, half of it is his limit. The reason he was able to give up so much was because he was the son of his old comrade in arms. Upon hearing this, Boss Zhao was happy and said, "Yes, why didn't I think of that?" Meixue came out at this time, and was about to ask them if they wanted to have dinner in the courtyard when she heard what Uncle Shi said. "Uncle Zhao, Uncle Shi, these plums are gone. What can I use to make wine? I don't know if An Liang and the others picked any plums today." Logically speaking, the plums on the mountain should have disappeared long ago. She asked them to go up the mountain to look for them, just holding out hope. "Zioxu is here. You have worked really hard today." Boss Zhao looked at Mei Shui with a smile. "Why are there no more plums? There will still be plums in September." Mei Shui really didn't know about this, but she didn't dare to respond. "Let's see and then talk. By the way, the food is ready. Why don't you guys eat some first? The visitor is a guest. Well, just eat vegetables." "Okay, little girl Zioxu, what delicious food have you made?" Uncle Shi reluctantly walked out from the wine vat. "Are there any appetizers?" Meixue glared at Uncle Shi and shook her head. "No, my family is poor, so we have some homegrown vegetables. If you don't like it, then you can pack some wine and go to town to eat. Don't even think about eating her meat." Hearing this, Uncle Shi was not happy. Fried green vegetables are good and can be eaten with wine. "Zioxu, let's eat outside. It's windy and cool." "Oh, well, sit down and I'll get you some cups to drink water from, for those of you who haven't drank yet." It was rare for Mei Shui to say a few more words, all because of money. "Zioxu is still sensible," Uncle Shi said with a sensible expression on his face. "I don't know how old this sweet-scented osmanthus tree is. It has grown very luxuriantly. After the light snow came, I gave it plenty of water to drink. Now it has grown even more luxuriantly, and 2 tables can be placed under the tree. There are also flowers hanging on the trees, so eating under the trees has a unique flavor." Entering the kitchen, Mei Shui took out a few plastic cups, which she bought after she came here, because she was afraid that others would use her cups to drink water, which would make her disgusted. "The water in the well is drinkable, so just press it yourself." After saying that, he turned around and entered the kitchen. After a while, the aroma of the food spread to everyone's nostrils. Everyone came here early in the morning and were hungry for a long time. Now that they smell the aroma of the food, even if it is vegetables, everyone is very greedy. The rice was cooked in the pot first, not much, but enough for them to eat. While cooking, Grandma he had some calculations in mind. "I just didn't expect so many people to come. Including Boss Zhao and Uncle Shi, there are 7 people. They really want to make their family poor. There are eggplants, beans, and a big bowl of fried chili on the table, which goes very well with rice. I scrambled some leek and eggs and made a lufa soup. Apart from the fact that there is no meat, it is not ambiguous at all. The dish is very oily, which makes people appetite at the first sight. Uncle Shi, do you want something to drink? Mei Shui is not a stingy person. She had taken some out for grandma to keep, but now it was just right for them to drink. Yes, of course. After letting them sit down, Mei Shui took out the plum wine and gave it directly to Uncle Shi. Then she went into the kitchen. What are you doing in the kitchen? Of course it's meat. The good things should be kept for the family to eat. It would not be enough to entertain them. Mei Shui would not be able to part with them if they had more, so she might as well hide them and eat them herself. Don't forget to vote. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 66. Chapter 66, Boss Zhao has a vicious vision. The bacon was so oily that it was full of oil in every mouthful. It tasted delicious to Mei Shui. Don't just eat meat. The meal will be ready in a while. You can wait. Grandma he saw that Xiaomei was eating quickly and was afraid that she would be caught. It's okay, you can eat it when the rice is cooked. Not only did she eat the good food alone, but she also had to eat it with her grandma. Grandma, try it. The bacon made by Aunt Mei Lian is really delicious. You looking at the meat that was handed to her mouth, Grandma he opened her mouth and took the whole piece into her mouth without being pretentious. The aroma comes out in your mouth, it's so fragrant. About 10 minutes later, the rice in the pot started to smell fragrant, and Grandma he walked out with another large bowl of rice. Is there enough food? If not, there is still more at home. Looking at the eaten rice bowl, Grandma he said with a smile. It's okay, I still have rice at home, so eat as much as you can, I'm not afraid you'll finish it. Thank you, and he. A group of clerks thanked each one. Don't be angry, just eat more and don't overeat. It's just that the family is poor and there is nothing good to eat. Grandma he said with an embarrassed look, are you sure that's because the family is poor? And he, you're welcome. There's a lot of oil and water in this dish. It's much better than what we eat at home. A group of waiters immediately responded. Then you should eat more. Uncle Shi is all about wine, but Boss Zhao and his wife have been cooking for so many years, and they can eat everything as soon as it comes into their mouths. The dishes on this table are indeed very ordinary, but their taste is not comparable to ordinary dishes. And he, did you grow this vegetable yourself? He owns a restaurant and always buys vegetables from people in the village. After eating it for so many years, the taste never changes. But today, he discovered that he would be willing to trade these vegetables for meat. Yes, if you don't grow what you grow at home, you won't be able to eat it. Grandma he sat down on an empty bench, picked up a bowl, filled a bowl of rice, and ate with them. They can't just hide in the kitchen and eat meat, one person has to come out to entertain them. Auntie, will you sell this dish? Boss Zhao was a little excited. When Grandma he heard what he said, she smiled and said, sell it, why not sell it? At the end of the year, I just look forward to the yield from the land and selling it to make some money for the family. Grandma he didn't think much about her own dishes. She just thought that since Boss Zhao opened a restaurant, she just wanted to buy some back. When she asked this question, can you sell it to me? Sure enough, just as she expected. It's not that I won't sell you, but the vegetables at home are all sold out. What's left is for our own consumption. We can't sell them all. We won't eat vegetables at home. Grandma he joked with a smile. Ah, all sold. Boss Zhao was a little disappointed. It would have been better if he had known Auntie earlier. This dish is much better than the ones he bought. He can definitely enter his son's restaurant and sell it at a higher price. I have to say, there is no businessman without treachery. Otherwise, why don't you live longer if you don't sell my house? Grandma, he glared at Zhao Aijun angrily, are you going to give me money? Sure, and I'll take whatever you have, and I'll give you the money, Boss Zhao said with a flattering look on his face. It's just giving money, it's not buying whoever is buying it. Spending money is not terrible, but the terrible thing is that after the money is spent, you can't buy good things. Hey, that's a good feeling. I still have a lot of land growing vegetables at home. If you want, you can take it away yourself in a few months. It happens that there are a lot of vegetables at home. Earlier she was worried about who to sell this dish to, but now it's fine, as long as someone wants it. Seriously, Boss Zhao really saw spring again. I lied to you and you got money. Boss Zhao didn't think twice about eating the meal. Fortunately, he got what he wanted. After the wine was weighed by the pound, Boss Zhao took Uncle Shi and left Hejiakan, carrying away all the jars. After seeing off the group of people, En Liang and En Wen were both counting money in the yard, with their parents standing behind them. Everyone was very excited. If it weren't for the third aunt's house, they would all want to grab the money and count it. En Wen's wine weighed about 100 kilograms after fermentation. When he bought it, it only weighed 80 kilograms. The water content of the plums had increased a bit. But he only sold 85 pounds, and he kept the rest for his father to drink to remove the moisture. According to the price negotiated by Grandma the total is 170 yuan, which is not a small amount of money. It is almost half a family's income. And An Liang had much less, only more than 40 kilograms of wine. He didn't make much wine to begin with. Plus what he left behind, it was less than 50 kilograms. Of course, what he had taken away before was not counted. But his price was higher than An Wen's, getting 120 yuan, which made him very angry. Not to mention Mei Shui's wine, it was several hundred yuan. She gave all the money to her grandma and asked her to count it for fun. Grandma also did as Mei Shui wished and was very happy to count from the side. Third aunt, thank you so much to Yuan Zioxiu. Without Yuan Zioxiu, how would An Liang, that brat, be where he is today? He Genkai thanked his third aunt with pride on his face. Grandma rolled her eyes at him and said, don't show off in front of me. My Zioxiu is the best. She couldn't bear to see others blustering in front of her. Okay, you all can go back and don't work anymore in the afternoon. I haven't even counted enough money yet, so I drive them away quickly. Hey, we'll go back right now, he Genkai said after being paused, and immediately put away his enthusiasm. He Gensi also expressed gratitude and planned to leave. Mei Shui looked at the two frames of plums in the yard and said, An Liang and Wen, don't leave. These plums need to be cleaned up. They won't survive the night. Unexpectedly, they actually picked the plums back, but they were not as good as the previous ones. I listened to my sister-in-law. The two of them immediately gave the money to their parents, and they sent their parents away with such respectful expressions. They know that my sister-in-law doesn't like crowds of people. After the others left, Grandma turned around and entered the house, leaving 3 people in the yard. Okay, don't watch anymore. Go buy a jar and wine first. I think the wine in the village is enough for you. Looking at the two fools, Mei Shui suddenly felt pain in her eyes. All the jars at home were taken away by Boss Zhao. He did not expect that there would be so much wine, so he took them away directly. Okay, let's go buy a jar and wine now. Sister-in-law, what should we do with these plums? An Wen was very energetic in his work. I'll put it by the well at the back. You guys go back quickly. It's best to seal the plum wine tonight. This time, seal it for a longer time. If it's sugar, put less sugar. She didn't plan to help them with space water, so you have to pay attention to details. Mei Shui is no different than others. She is used to drinking space water. As soon as she drinks the wine, she realizes that there is too much sugar. This time I will put in a little less and let it take a longer time. I think the thickness of the wine will increase. Okay, I still have some candy from last time, I think it's enough. And Liang listened and counted his things. It looks like I need to buy more tanks. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 67. Chapter 67, He-An's Returns. The two of them helped carry the plums to the well behind the house and put them there before leaving. Now that there were no outsiders in the house, Mei Shui immediately entered her grandma's house. As soon as I entered, I saw Grandma spitting and counting money, which was very exciting. Grandma, stop counting. It's still only a few hundred yuan after counting. When I make a lot of money in the future, Grandma will count again. Mei Shui stepped forward, took the money, and put it on the bed. Grandma, he smiled back, haha, Xiaoxiu, do you know how much money there is here? How many? It's more than 400 yuan, haha, Xiaoxiu, I shouldn't have made any concessions at that time. How much would it cost to sell it for 10 yuan a pound? Grandma, he said with a pained look on her face. Mei Shui was speechless. No one knew better than her how precious the space water wine was. Unfortunately, in this era, it cannot be sold at a high price. It's okay, let's sell it higher next time, Mei Shui coaxed. Yes, you have to sell it a little higher to avoid making the old man cheap. Well, I listened to Grandma. Mei Shui looked obedient. And that dish, Boss Zhao said he wants all of it. Do you think he is stupid? We have so many dishes, can he sell them all? Grandma, he said that she was not forgiving, but she was soft-hearted. Mei Shui didn't know what Boss Zhao was thinking about this, so she shook her head. I'm afraid Boss Zhao has his own way. If he wants us, we'll sell if there is money. Mei Shui has no reason to refuse. Well, let's ask him then, so as not to waste money on these vegetables. These are all grains. In the past, they were life-saving things. Nowadays, every household has no shortage of it, but they can't bear to waste it. Okay, listen to Grandma. By the way, Xiaoxiu, come and see, this is what Boss Zhao and Old Man Shi brought, haha, it's their conscience. Grandma, he stood up and took out a few large bags from the bedside cabinet. It contains the gifts that Boss Zhao and the others brought this time. Mai Xiu also stepped forward and took a look. There were some things inside that she really liked, such as the meat. Grandma, it seems we don't have to go to the market recently, Mei Shui said as she took out the meat. Hee, you don't like these candies, Grandma. He took out a few packs of fruit candies and asked. Mei Shui quickly shook her head, I don't like it. It's better to eat something spicy to stay energetic. Let me tell you what's good, but if you don't like it, then take a bag with An Liang and the others when they go back in the evening. Xiaoxiu didn't eat it, and it was spoiled at home. Good. Mei Shui has no objection. She can give things to anyone she doesn't like, as long as Grandma is happy. We will keep these pastries for ourselves and eat them in the fields when the rice is harvested. We will also save ourselves from running back at noon. Pastries can be kept for a long time and are not afraid of high temperatures. Mei Shui glanced at it, agreed with her grandma's words, and nodded in agreement. Grandma, he also took out 2 cans of those cans and placed them next to the fruit candies. I'll give you 1 can each for Aunt Zillian and Aunt Milian. There are about 6 or 7 cans here, so it won't be a problem to take away 2 cans. Grandma, you make the decision. I'll go pick up the meat. The fat ones are used to boil oil, and the thin ones are used for cooking. Go. In the afternoon, Mei Shui was packing the meat at home, which weighed almost 10 kilograms. I really don't know what the two of them thought, each of them had 1 piece. However, Mei Shui likes it. The news about An Liang and An Wen's wine sales soon spread in the village. At this moment, everyone knew that they had learned the art of making wine from Mei Shui, and everyone was very envious of her, not to mention that the wine was sold at such an expensive price. And Lin's side was even more prosperous, and he felt very uncomfortable. He learned it from An Liang and the others, but he listened to his father's advice and didn't brew that much. In addition, he made his own decision, and the plums he chose were all half-cooked. Unexpectedly, the wine was not brewed well, and an opportunity to sell it at a high price was lost. At night, He Jingting Sai almost drowned the entire family. Perhaps the one who is least concerned about this matter is Anshan. He now runs to the mountains every day and is busy chopping wood. After losing this opportunity, he came out of the loss, but he also had his own little thoughts. Stop sighing, you can't blame yourself for this. You're fine now. Do you realize you were wrong? Aunt Ting dropped her chopsticks angrily and threw the bowl heavily on the table. She said at that time that Xiaoxiu would send Anshan to Anshan if she asked him to. What now? And Lin didn't say anything, and just kept eating, feeling a little confused about the taste of the food. I've finished eating. I'm going to take a shower first. Anshan ate quickly and left the kitchen. After Mei Shui taught An Liang and the others how to make plum wine again, she asked them to take the wine back to her home. With nothing to do, Mei Shui ran to her vegetable patch every day, 2 or 3 times a day, which is called diligent. Grandma, he is now a popular person in the village, and no one can help but compliment her. Days like this make her more willing to run down the mountain and sit by the stream. Time will not stop for one person, and things on He-An's side have come to an end. Those who robbed the goods were also caught, and except for those who were sold, all the goods were recovered. When He-An's returned to the county town, he received a message from the guard, saying that his grandma came to see him and asked him to go home when he had time. Calculating the time, it was time to harvest the rice at home. Grandma was at home with her, so she couldn't take the rice back, so she came to the county town to find her. After thanking the uncle, He-An's asked for leave from his boss and talked about going back to harvest rice. The boss was also grateful to He-An's for helping him retrieve the goods this time. The goods were a trivial matter, but the car was his loss. Fortunately, the car was recovered. Of course it's okay for you to take leave, Ans. It just so happens that the team has nothing to do right now. Just go home and take care of the old lady and come back after the holidays. After saying that, the boss took out a big red envelope from the drawer. I won't say any more words of thanks. You won't like to hear it if I say too much. Just keep this little note as a way to pay my respects to the old lady. The boss is a good person. He-An's never thought of refusing. This time the boss gave him a bonus of several hundred yuan. Looking at the thick red envelope, I'm afraid it's not less than 100 yuan. Then thank you boss, I will come back to work as soon as I finish my work at home. He has been with his boss for 2 years and he is really good to him. Okay, let's go. Remember to buy some delicious food for the old lady and don't let her suffer. Knowing He-An's, boss Joe knew what he liked to hear. It is not really sincere, but there is still a certain amount of true feelings in it. Well, I know, I'll leave first, Uncle Joe. When no one was around, Boss Joe asked He-An's to call him uncle. From the initial reluctance to the later acceptance, He-An's also complied with his wishes. Recommended votes please. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 68. Chapter 68, Harvest in the Fields. Please vote for recommendation. After leaving the motorcade, He-An's only thought was to rush home. When passing by the mall, he thought of the thin little girl. After thinking about it, he walked into the mall. When I came out, I had a big bag in my hand. No one knows what is inside, but it can be seen from He-An's face that he is very happy. Grandma, our rice is also yellow. Will we be able to harvest it in a few days? August is here, and other people's rice has been dried and put into the barn. waiting to be handed over to the public grain. And there are not many families in the village whose rice has yet to be confiscated. One of them is Mei Shui's family. Wait a few more days for Ens to come back. Then we will collect it together, just the two of us. Grandma is afraid that you will be tired, it's been so long, and it's time for Ens to come back. Mei Shui didn't want to talk as soon as she heard that she had to wait for that man. She wanted to tell her grandma that she could do it alone, but knowing that grandma has been looking forward to his return recently, she will just wait. Okay, listen to grandma. Grandma and Liang and the others will go to the fields to look for loaches in a while. The sun is strong now, so don't go down the mountain. Be careful of heat stroke. Meixiu took out her big bucket again. Okay, grandma won't go out, so just rest at home. I have been running too much these days, so I need to take a rest. After a while, En Liang, and Wen, and An Shan ran over. Sister-in-law, let's go. Now that every household has harvested almost the same amount of land, it is a good time to go out to catch loaches and eels. Coming. 4 people, each with a big bucket. This is the first time Anshan has joined them. Along the way, he spoke very little, and he was no longer as shy as when he first met Mei Shui. Quietly. Sister-in-law, let's go catch it in my field first, and Liang said as he walked. Okay, after we've caught it, we'll go to An Wen's land to catch it, Mei Shui responded. Anshan really wanted to say go to his house again, but forget it. There were 4 people in the group, and one of them was walking faster. There was some water in many fields. It looked like an expert at first glance. It was a wetland. After the ground was wet, we would dig for loaches and eels. It lasted all afternoon. When the 4 of them came back, all 4 large barrels were filled with goods. The smiles on every face never stopped. Sister-in-law, let's go again tomorrow. Haha, it's so cool. There are so many. If you sell them, you can make a lot of money. School will start soon, and An Liang will go to school. He has to earn some money for himself. Pocket money. I have to say that after An Liang and An Wen sold wine last time, the family pulled a piece of cloth for Grandma He and Mei Shui to make clothes for Grandma He and Mei Shui. Grandma He was not polite and took it directly. She also gave the skin to Mei Lian and asked her to make clothes, but she said she would not pay the wages. How could Aunt Mei Lian ask for money from her third aunt? She quickly agreed. Mei Shui asked Aunt Meilian to make autumn clothes. The relationship between the 3 families is getting closer and closer. When anything happens, An Liang and An Wen come to find Mei Shui and go up the mountain together. From time to time, I would bring back some wild fruits or game from the mountains. I haven't encountered any big things, but I have caught a lot of small things. The 4 of them carried the buckets and went directly to Mei Shui's house. Sister-in-law, should we take these home to eat or sell them? And Wen asked after putting them down. Meixiu really wanted to say that she would save it for herself, but this time there was really too much, and she would definitely not be able to finish it. Take it and sell it. Is there a big market tomorrow? Mei Shui asked, counting the days. It's true, sister-in-law, you mean we sell it? And Liang was excited. How about you finish eating? Mei Shui rolled her eyes at An Liang and said, I'm not afraid of eating you to death. After getting familiar with each other, Mei Shui's mouth became closer and closer to Grandma He's. Afraid? An Liang responded. That's it, each of you take some back to eat, and we'll sell the rest tomorrow, and come back and divide the money after we sell it. There are quite a few 100 kilograms here, and it's another sum of money. I think Grandma will be happy. Mei Shui glanced around the room, but she didn't see her grandma. Grandma, Grandma, are you at home? As soon as Grandma He heard Xiaoxiu's voice, an echo came from the back of the house. Here, Grandma is in the back room. Grandma He is feeding the chickens. These chickens grow so fast that the house can hardly contain them. After listening to Grandma's voice, Mei Shui breathed a sigh of relief. You can take it yourself. Go back after you finish it. We have to make dinner later. As soon as Mei Shui spoke, En Liang and En Wen moved their hands very skillfully. Anshan also followed them and caught some and took them back. The barrel is placed here. After an afternoon of getting along, Anshan gradually relaxed a little. After knowing that his sister-in-law was not angry with him because of what happened last time, he also slowly changed back. After the three people left, Mei Shui dropped some water from the space into the bucket to ensure that she would not die tomorrow. She was afraid that she wouldn't be able to endure it in such a hot day. When she came to the back of the house, she saw her grandma catching chicks. Mei Shui immediately walked over and asked, "Grandma, why did you let them out?" Helping grandma catch it together. "Where did I put them? These chickens are big enough to fly out on their own. Alas, they can't be locked up." Grandma he threw the chicken in her hand into the house. "Then don't lock them up, let them out. When you come back from the big market tomorrow, I will repair the chicken coop in front, and then let them go to the front. On the left side of the yard is the chicken coop, which used to contain large chickens. After the big chicken was sold, it has been empty. Going to the big market tomorrow, Grandma he was surprised. How many did you catch today?" Meixu smiled and said, "Not much, about 100 catties." "About 100 pounds, Grandma he was frightened. Did you empty out all the fields, so much? Did you go to someone else's field?" Grandma he asked with a serious look. "How is that possible?" Mei Shui was speechless. "We caught them in the fields of An Liang's family and An Wen's family. We also went to catch some loaches in the ditch." She was gluttonous, but she didn't have a hobby of stealing. After hearing that they did not go to other people's land, Grandma he breathed a sigh of relief. Every household in the village has a hard time. Don't touch other people's property to avoid causing trouble later. I don't know how many people are watching you now. Since the spread of Zioxiu's brewing skills, I don't know how many people have come to ask if they can still learn from it. She rejected them all. If she really touched other people's things, I'm afraid they would be ripped off. Favors are the hardest to return. I know Grandma. If Grandma wasn't worried, she would rush the next one. It's a pity that she still has to live in the village, so of course she can't offend everyone. She knows a lot of things, as seen in the book, and at worst, for Grandma's sake, it's useless to teach them some. It just depends on her mood. If she is in a good mood, give it to her. But if anyone offends her, just stand still and rob her. Let them experience some of her methods. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 69. Chapter 69, Aquatic Products Market. The next day, the four of them gathered at Mei Shui's home. En Liang and En Cheng booked a carriage early. It was getting late, so they had to go to town quickly, otherwise the loach might not survive until noon. "Slow down, sister-in-law, give it to me and I'll carry it." En Wen stepped onto the carriage first and picked up the bucket. En Cheng was surprised when he saw them carrying so many loaches and eels. "Oh my God, brother En Wen, why did you catch so many?" Recently, he also went to his own land to catch them, but there were so many. It would be good to have enough for his own consumption. En Wen giggled and said, "Ha ha, good luck, good luck." The third grandma had already said when she first caught a hare and came back that she was not allowed to tell anyone about her sister-in-law. En Liang also chimed in, "You don't know, our underground fertilizer this year weighs 1 pound, so this little amount is still less." En Liang is really getting more and more in arrears. En Cheng looked unbelieving and said, as if someone's field was not fertile, their field was also fertile, but there weren't that many eels and loaches. After helping to load the 4 large buckets onto the carriage, En Cheng didn't need to wait for others, and directly took Mei Shui and others to the market. Mei Shui didn't want to go to the big market because the prices there really disappointed her. When approaching the town, Mei Shui hurriedly asked An Cheng, "Anken, do you know where the aquatic product farm is? Is this considered aquatic product?" An Cheng nodded, "Sister-in-law, I know, it's on the west side of the town, a bit far from Daji. Daji is on the east side. It is connected in all directions, and people from all villages gather here. On the west side are those who do big business, and those who don't have much on one side won't go there. Sister-in-law, are you going to the aquaculture farm?" After saying that, An Cheng looked at the 4 large barrels and saw no dead goods, which was really surprising. Meixiu looked at the other 3 people and asked, "What do you think? The things don't belong to her alone. If she were the one, she could make her own decisions. We listen to my sister-in-law, and Liang is the most well-behaved and obedient." Of course An Wen had no objection, and finally everyone looked at Anshan. "You don't have to look at me, I will listen to my sister-in-law. He can see how capable this sister-in-law is. Then we'll go to the fish farm. If the price doesn't rise significantly, we'll come back." Mei Shui made a decision after hearing this. And Cheng also nodded. Next, he could go directly to the fish market by another way, without having to be stuck in Daji. Along the way, everyone was full of expectations, and the most mediocre one was probably Mei Shui, because she really didn't have high hopes for the price. It didn't take long, before the sun came up, and Cheng's carriage arrived at the fish market, where people were coming and going. The entrance to the fish market is full of cars, carriages, tractors, trucks, bicycles, etc. It's really eye-opening. Brother An Wen, it would be great if we could buy a 28 bar. And Liang, who was sitting on the carriage, looked at the bicycle parked next to him and said with envy. An Wen also had envy in his eyes, but unfortunately, he would not buy it even if he had money. His family's conditions do not allow it. Meixiu didn't like the bicycle even more. If she had money, she would buy a small bicycle like that. It would be stylish and let her grandma show off in the village. It would be great. Soon he arrived at the gate. And Cheng stopped the carriage and said, "Sister-in-law, we are here. Cars are not allowed inside. The main reason is that the horses have to poop. If they go in and anywhere, it will seriously affect the environment. So the market managers banned vehicles from passing through." Good. Everyone comes here for the first time, so they lift the bucket first and wait until they enter the market to talk about anything else. Mei Shui took the lead, directly picked up a bucket of loach and eels and walked inside. Once you enter, it's a completely different experience. People are coming and going in a hurry, everyone is smiling, and they have found something to their liking. The further you go in, the more people there become. Mei Shui and the others don't understand the rules inside, so they only run to places with more people. Someone soon discovered what they were holding. "Little girl, young man, are you here to sell goods?" A middle-aged man with a big belly called several people from the side. Mei Shui stopped walking, and the man also ran over from a distance. When he saw the contents of the bucket, his eyes lit up. "Are you selling all these?" Mingzi asked. Mei Shui is a man of few words. When she looked at this middle-aged man, he was really an eyesore and she didn't want to sell anything to him. And Liang didn't know what his sister-in-law was thinking. When someone asked, he immediately replied, "Yes, uncle, do you want it?" "Yes, yes, how many do you have? The uncle has been waiting here for a long time. He came late today and didn't get the fresh goods. What he bought were leftovers from other people's picks. He was really anxious. He runs a restaurant in the county town, and his business is good, so he has more needs than others on weekdays. And he is also a good cook, so he is more careful about the selection of ingredients than others. He goes out to buy fresh goods like this himself. We don't have much, just these 4 barrels. Boss, do you want them all?" And Liang is a talented person. After Mei Shui saw An Liang talking to him, she put down the bucket and stood aside to watch. Anshan also stood next to his sister-in-law. He was a little nervous facing outsiders. He was not as good as An Liang, even though he was older than An Liang. And Wen is like a bodyguard, standing next to An Liang, fearing that he will fall into other people's schemes. He doesn't understand words, but his mind is clear. The middle-aged boss looked at the 4 large barrels. They added up to a lot. Of course he needed them all. With these things, he would not have to worry about meat in the store for at least 2 days. Now is the season for eating eels and loaches. They are very plump and a good dish. Yes, of course I want them all, the boss replied with a smile. I want them all at a cheaper price. For me, no one in business is too thoughtful. When Mei Shui heard this, she was unhappy. No, I don't have much money to begin with. If she could, she wouldn't want to sell it, but it's a pity that it doesn't belong to her alone. Little girl, I want them all. The fat boss didn't give in. You don't have to want them all, Mei Shui said. You girl, why don't you know how to adapt? I bought them all, and you don't have to squeeze in. You can achieve multiple things with one stone. It's not much. How much do you pay per pound? After seeing that his sister-in-law was not happy, An Liang also joined the conversation. Mei Shui gave An Liang a knowing look, which immediately made An Liang raise his butt. This is the first time for the middle-aged boss to encounter such an unflexible seller. As before, as long as he says everything he wants, he will sell at a reduced price. He finally figured out that these children were careless. If they didn't give a satisfactory price, they would miss out on the business. 1 piece, no more. His price is the most reasonable. Remember to vote. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 70. Chapter 70, True Likeness. Upon hearing this, Mei Shui was happy and said, I'll sell it all to you. You know, the last time she and her grandma went to sell it, it only cost 8 cents. Now 1 piece is 2 cents more than before. The middle-aged boss was confused. Was the price he offered too high? Can he regret it? Forget it, business people must be honest. Then let's go to the scale. No matter how much we lose, it will be at our own price. I didn't expect it. After many years of hunting, we were finally beaten by the wild geese. 1 piece per pound, my God, it has almost caught up with the price of pork. An Liang and others could not recover for a while. Follow up quickly, what are you thinking about? Mei Shui shouted immediately when she saw that they were not following. The boss in front of me vomited blood in his heart, but forget it, the better thing is that the goods are good and fresh. After weighing, the total amount was about 110 kilograms. You can imagine how good their harvest was this time. The total amount was 110 yuan, which was comparable to the wine brewed by An Liang. With the money, the 4 of them quickly left the fish market. Not only that, the middle-aged boss also gave them a message to let them have some wine next time. If the goods go directly to his store, they will definitely not suffer any loss. In response, Mei Shui gave the annoying boss a rare smile and agreed with her mouth. Hejia village has mountains to eat and mountains to eat, and sea to eat. Hejia village has nothing but mountains. If you want some game, it couldn't be easier. Meixiu thought of selling all the meatless food besides what she ate at home. On the carriage, and Cheng saw them coming out as soon as they entered. He was surprised and asked, Brother and Wen, have you sold all your eels? Well, they're all sold, and Wen looked excited. Although he didn't have the money, he still had a quarter of the more than 100 yuan. Each person has about 30 yuan. How much did it cost so quickly? And Cheng just asked casually. There is no need to hide this matter. And Wen and Cheng said that they sold it for a total of 110 yuan. Anken was frightened. Oh my god, this is too much. More than 100 yuan, which is more than what his father earns. And Chen was shocked and immediately started to learn from his brothers. Except for his sister-in-law, and Liang and others didn't hide anything else from him. When An Cheng heard this, he thought it was just like him catching eels and loaches on weekdays. How could he catch so many? This puzzled him very much, but he was envious. He just thought that he would go to the fields to search more tomorrow. When she returned to the market, Mei Shui asked An Cheng to park the car. She was going to buy something to go home. When getting off the bus, Mei Shui also asked them if they wanted to go. An Wen had to go to the hospital to get medicine for his father. An Liang didn't need to buy anything, but he was very interested in shopping at the mall, so of course he wanted to go. Then let's divide the money. Mei Shui was also very happy. This of course made the three of them very happy. Sister-in-law, please give me 25 yuan, An Wen said without thinking much. Because it was exactly 15 yuan for him to get the medicine, he would have given a little more, but he knew that his sister-in-law was a hard worker, so he picked up the bucket and felt a little embarrassed even though he had to pay 25 yuan. After hearing this, An Liang and An Shan immediately agreed, yes, sister-in-law can just give us $25. Mai Xiu was too lazy to talk to them. Okay, she took out the money from her arms and gave each of them 25 yuan. He also gave Ankan 5 yuan, saying it was for his hard work. Whereas An Cheng affirmed, but in the end, he couldn't hold his thighs. Under the threat of An Wen and An Liang, he charged the ceiling fee of these $5. Mainly looking for an excuse for him to accept it. He was asked not to tell the villagers about the eel sale, and An Cheng agreed. An Wen went to the hospital, and Mei Shui took An Liang and An Chen to go shopping together. Mei Shui first went to buy some daily necessities for the family, mainly salt. Grandma said that she was going to make chili sauce, which requires a lot of salt. The festival is coming soon, and I have to buy some mooncakes to go back to. Grandma has good teeth and likes to eat sweets. Mei Shui has to buy some mooncakes for Grandma. Let's do the math, there are a lot of things to buy. And Liang and the others went to buy some things for the start of school. Mei Shui had no interest in going to school at all. In that world, she was so bored that she read countless books. Now she feels like vomiting when she reads the book. Life is so good, but she has better things to do. However, Mei Shui is still very supportive of their schooling. You know, college students nowadays are very valuable. Before she knew it, it was past noon. Mei Shui was a little hungry. She had been shopping for too long today, so her small backpack was full. There were things that Grandma liked to eat and things she liked. And Liang and his friends also put their things in her backpack. They didn't expect to buy anything when they came out. They both bought books, which were not attractive to Mei Shui at all. Are you hungry? Sister-in-law, are you hungry? Let's go get something to eat. When An Liang heard his sister-in-law complaining that she was hungry, he immediately became attentive. What do you want to eat, sister-in-law? And Shan also asked without panic as he had money in his hand. Eat whatever you want. We'll go back after eating. I'm afraid Grandma will be in a hurry. When Mei Shui went out, her grandma asked her to go back early. Then let's go eat rice noodles. I know there is a restaurant with delicious rice noodles. And Liang asked immediately. Mei Shui doesn't care, she can eat anything. Well, let's go eat rice noodles. Let's go call An Cheng and An Wen. The five of them each had a bowl of rice noodles for lunch. After eating, Mei Shui gave them money because they ate too slowly. When I went back, Mai Xiu also bought some meat buns, which Grandma loved to eat. Sister-in-law, are we still going up the mountain tomorrow? And Liang asked expectantly on the way back. Go, I'll accompany you to chop wood. It's been a long time since I went up the mountain, and my bones are a little loose. In the carriage, everyone was talking and laughing. And Chen was riding the carriage, and the smile on his face never stopped. Look, how can that person walk back? And Cheng saw someone walking on the road from a distance. For example, people in the village basically use horse-drawn carriages to go back and forth, and few people follow them on foot. Hearing En Cheng's words, and Wen and others immediately looked forward. That person looks so familiar, and Wen said after looking at it. And Liang also nodded, it feels familiar to me too. It was a bit far away, but he would definitely recognize it if he were closer. And Shan spoke up at this time, Brother An Wen, do you think that man looks like Brother An's? Hearing the familiar name, Mei Shui looked up. However, I'm not familiar with it. I don't want to say it, but it really looks like it. And Cheng, hurry up, let's catch up and have a look. And Liang was excited. Mixu wanted to beat someone up, but she wasn't ready to meet him yet, under such circumstances. That's right, Brother Ans, how do you walk back, even though he was only a month older, and Wen still called Ans brother. The eyes of several people were immediately attracted by the walking he Ans, while Mei Shui had no expression on her face. Actually, some of them were panicking. They were really going to meet each other. What would she say to him? Pretending not to recognize him. Not familiar with it in the first place. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 71. Chapter 71, Don't Know Each Other After Meeting. Soon, the carriage arrived at He An's side. Today, he originally planned to follow the carriage back to the village on the market, but they all had other things to do and would not be able to come back until the afternoon. But he was impatient and missed his grandma, so he planned to walk back. Brother Ans, as soon as An Liang approached, he immediately confirmed that this person was He Ans and shouted immediately. Mei Shui really wants to start smoking. He Ans stopped, looked behind him, saw the carriage, and saw the people in the carriage. He smiled, why are you here? For the moment, He Ans failed to recognize Mei Shui, mainly because of the hasty farewell and because Mei Shui had been recuperating in the past few months, and she was no longer as thin as before. The white skin and beautiful appearance refer to the current Mei Shui. Matches her name very well. We are going to the market with my sister-in-law. Brother Ans, come up quickly. Why are you walking back? And Liang immediately stood up and gave up his seat, asking him to sit next to his sister-in-law. As soon as He Ans heard An Liang calling her sister-in-law, he turned around and frowned. Seeing him like this, An Liang and others thought that Brother Ans was unhappy, so they immediately explained. Yesterday we went to the fields to catch a lot of loaches and eels. If we don't sell them today, we will die, so my sister-in-law took us to sell the goods together. And Liang was a little afraid of this cousin. When he saw him frowning, he couldn't help but explain himself. At this time, He Ans was able to recognize the person and asked, Xiaoxiu, but he was a little unsure. Mei Shui nodded and hummed, which was a response to him. With the addition of He Ans, Mei Shui became even quieter. He Ans, who was sitting next to Mei Shui, glanced at her from time to time, making Mei Shui very uncomfortable. His eyes were full of inquiry, with a hint of unknown surprise. Everyone was talking and laughing along the way, and soon An Liang sold Mei Shui completely, and she almost didn't let Mei Shui kill him. Fortunately, she endured it. After returning to the village, the horse made a neighing sound and stopped. Mei Shui ignored He Ans, put on her own basket, picked up the bucket and jumped out of the carriage. I didn't even wait to congratulate Ans. Sister-in-law, seeing Mei Shui walking so fast, An Liang shouted immediately. Mei Shui had no choice but to stop and asked, what are you doing? If eyes could kill, I think An Liang would be a dead man now. Sister-in-law, why are you walking so fast? Let's go up together, An Liang said a little scared. Seeing how timid he was, Mei Shui curled her lips and said, hurry up. Hyans could read the displeasure in her eyes, and that displeasure was directed at him. He was a little confused. What had happened to her? Offended her? Similarly, after getting married, I took her back home and haven't been home since then. I think she must have suffered a lot of grievances in the village. Hyans took a few steps to catch up with Mei Shui. Let me carry it, there's a lot of stuff. There was a hint of nervousness in his voice. Meixue glanced at him and avoided his hand. No need, I can carry it. Looking at her like this, Hyans felt that she was having a temper with him, and he didn't blame her. It was because he was not a good husband. No, just give it to me. Mei Shui shouted. Here she handed him the bucket in her hand. If it wasn't for grandma's sake, she would have put the bucket on his head and kicked him a few times. And Liang and the others also chased after him. The man had a man's mind and immediately started teasing Hyans. Brother Ans, you've made my sister-in-law angry. It's not a question, it's an affirmation. An Liang really needs to be dealt with. And Wen naturally took a few steps away from An Liang, fearing that he would harm him. Looking at the figure walking away, Hyans unconsciously raised the corners of his mouth and smiled. You want to mess with me, he replied. And Liang was afraid. No, I don't dare. Along the way, everyone was talking and laughing as they walked home. Mei Shui put down his and Anshan's things from the baskets on her back as she passed by An Liang's house. He left home directly without waiting for them to come back. As soon as I got home, I saw my grandma resting on the bamboo bed, with the eldest grandma sitting next to her. Grandma, I'm back. Seeing her grandma, Mei Shui's mood immediately improved. Grandma, even though grandma was here, Mei Shui would still scream for her sake. She had long forgotten what happened to Meiza last time, but grandma felt a little uncomfortable. Xiaoxiu is back. Grandma didn't know what she was telling grandma. Her eyes were red. Xiaoxiu, why did you come back at this time? Are you hungry? Did you eat anything on the street, grandma? He asked with a worried look. Mei Shui put down her backpack. Eat, isn't it the festival? I went to buy some things, and I was shopping for a long time and wasted some time, Mei Shui explained to her grandma. But after thinking of another person, Mei Shui took a deep breath and said, Grandma, Hyans is back. After saying that, Mei Shui turned around and entered the kitchen. She had to drink some water to calm down. What, Grandma? He immediately became excited when she heard the words Hyans. Xiaoxiu, what did you just say? She hurriedly chased into the kitchen. Grandma, your eldest grandson is back. Mei Shui was helpless and had no choice but to say something with a smile. Hey, I came back just in time. It seems that the guard didn't lie to me. I'm really done with the Ans racing team. She had been worried before. As soon as Grandma he finished speaking, the courtyard door was pushed open again, and the shouts reached her ears. Grandma! Ans is back. Seeing Hyans return, the grandma stood up and said, It's good to come back, it's good to come back. Grandma he hurriedly walked out of the kitchen. You brat, you finally know you're back. Grandma he scolded angrily. Grandma, I'm back. Hyans was not very good at expressing emotions, but he still respected and missed his only relative. Humph, I thought you had forgotten me as a grandma. After saying that, Grandma he thought of Xiaoxiu again. Do you still remember that you are a married person? After saying that, Grandma he glanced at the kitchen, as if she was deliberately venting her anger on Xiaoxiu. Grandma, I was wrong. Hyans immediately understood what Grandma meant and admitted his mistake directly. I won't dare to do it again. This time it's a convoy thing and I really have to go. If I could have been pushed, I wouldn't have left for so long. Hyans knew from the look on his grandma's face that he was very satisfied with his grandson-in-law. Previously, he was worried that Mei Shui would not get along with his grandma, because no one knew his grandma's temperament better than he did. Unexpectedly, the two of them got along much better than he expected. It's good to know that you were wrong, but there will be no next time. Grandma he slapped Hyans twice, pouted, pointed to the kitchen, and said softly, "Why don't you go and coax him? The old man will not get involved in the affairs of the young couple." Grandma he directly made excuses to send Grandma back. Additional updates are coming. Starting now, 10,000 words will be updated every day, and the votes will be received very well. Thanks to my lovely little Aman for recommending the bookstore. Everyone, please rush. End of this chapter.